What is good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy King, guys. We are back again today. We're about to check out another video, guys. This is a Vice debate. This is Be a Man, Modernists and Traditionalists debate masculinity. Guys, this is about to be a banger, so let's jump right into it. Where do I lean on this scale? Probably more towards the traditionalist because I hail from an African country. Very traditional, but I also have some modern, things in there as well. So, let's just see Wagwan. Let's see what's going on in this, and then probably break it down and expand on it. Because as we know, these interviews or debates take about 6 hours approximately, and they're condensed down to about 43 minutes. So it's probably a long discussion. And yeah, let's jump right in, and we're gonna see how this ranges from femininity to masculinity. Let's see what the masculine end has to say. Yeah, let's go for it.
I'm so tired of like paying $150 for a first date, and then you just ghost me. And the next week I'm like hurting for cash. I'm like, I could have really used that $150. Like, why did I have to?
Also, the trade-off of like going on a date and as the man being like, oh, this sucks, I have to pay, or as the woman being like, oh, this sucks, I might get murdered, is like a pretty big imbalance.
Woo! Must say it's a big imbalance.
How you guys doing?
I don't know, but.
My name's Krishna. Thank you.
But the funny thing is, this is the of that one statement. The funny thing, just to quickly just jump into this on the breakdown. The funny thing on that statement is the fact that traditionally and usually a lot of women would like the man to plan the date instead of her saying, "Okay, let me pick a location where it is best suited to my safety needs." They'll let the man decide, increasing their risk of potentially getting so. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Thank you all for being here and talking through masculinity, what it means to be a man, etc. Obviously, we couldn't fit every man in the country into this room. We tried to get a diverse perspective, but of course, that caveat, we're not everyone. I wanted to start by telling you why this is something that I'm interested in. I have an 8-year-old son, and I'm seeing him absorb what manliness might mean. I'm thinking to myself, what does it mean to be a man?
Bro, at that age, you should have some semblance of what it means to you as an individual. Again, it is for you and your family what you want your family to turn out. So if you make up your mind on it, for me, in basic terms, it is a high, not a high level, but essentially a high level of stoicism has to be involved. A high level of understanding, sympathy and empathy, and go from there, having the strength and power to protect their family, but knowing when to use it, heeding the demands and or complaints of your constituents. Come on, say constituents. Nah, I'm joking. Let's just go ahead and listen to what they have to say.
Or maybe we could just introduce each other to each other, and if you were to describe what it means to be a man or to be masculine.
My name is Tahoe. I'm a black man from the hood. When I was young, being a man, you had to be tough. You had to be hard. And now, to me, being a man is a lot different. Now, to me, being a man is knowing when to be soft. Knowing that you don't always have to run the charge. You can actually listen. You know what I mean? So things have changed a lot over the course of the years for me.
I'm Griffin, and I don't identify as a man. I'm non-binary. I still have elements of my identity that are masculine, elements that are feminine, elements that don't fall within that range. And I personally just don't feel tied to the norms or the confines of gender at all.
Well, welcome.
My name is Dylan, and I think that the notion of masculinity is just something that can be possessed by man or woman. Man, woman, non-gender conforming person. What it means to be masculine is just changing and very fluid. But I think that masculinity.
Fuck me. Shit shouldn't be. Fuck me. Oh my gosh. There is a spectrum. Yes, we can agree on that. That ranges from femininity to masculinity. You as an individual can move across that spectrum, but the definition of said things should not be fluid. The definition of said things should be static. This is what it means to be this, and thus you can measure how high up you are on that. If everything is fluid, then there is no spectrum. It just is what it is. Masculinity could be femininity. Femininity could be masculinity. Then there is no spectrum. So it's a bunch of bullshit. What the fuck? What the fuck?
It's something that just like you embody based off of just like how you show up in this world as a man, and just like, you know, how you go about being your day to day.
How you show up. Interesting.
Yes.
What?
What's up, guys? My name is Paul. I'm a fitness
That was not
entrepreneur. I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 4 years old with my family. It's kind of funny how we're talking about it. My take on masculinity is not about talking as much as doing. I think at its core, a man has to be efficient, competent, and be willing to do what it takes for themselves and their loved ones.
Facts.
I was not always a good man. I was not always what you would call a healthy masculine man. And so as my life has changed, I've identified 5 points that I think make a truly masculine man masculine.
Okay.
I think point number 1 is a man who walks with God. Point number 2 is a man who stands
Interesting.
on principle. Point number
I'll take
3,
that.
which is a masculine man, is self-sacrificing.
Take
So
that
someone who is
too.
willing to sacrifice for point 4, the people that he leads. A true man is a leader. And number
Ooh.
5, a masculine man is never a coward.
That's a lot there.
Facts. Ooh, shit. Yo, leave it to the cowboys to come out here and drop some knowledge. Drop some knowledge, man. Hey, I need to visit the South at some point. 'Cause this man's got some
Let's
points.
get into that as we go on.
The more favorable
I think
sides.
what it means to be a man is responsibility. As a man, it can come with a lot of power, and with great power comes great responsibility.
Man said, Uncle Ben, where you at? Bro, I like these guys will go coast. They came patent. They
First.
came patent up.
That's it.
That's from Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah,
Right?
no, that's what's
Uncle Ben.
James.
Well, my name is James Killen, former United States Marine turned Air Force officer. Got a couple combat tours, but I'm also a father of 3 girls who mellowed me out. The idea of masculinity is something that I find interesting because it is changing, and I can actually see those changes in myself. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this panel.
Thanks for your service. Andre.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, men. I think my idea of a real man is, someone that gets the job done, and provides and all that. I don't even know what that means anymore, but yeah, I don't know. It's changing every day.
How do you think it's changing?
No, it just seems like everything is changing every day. It's like a new world order. So I don't. I have a hard time keeping up with stuff, so I feel like tomorrow it's gonna be something else, and people are gonna comment and be like, "You're wrong."
And that's the problem. That's the problem with things ever shifting, because people don't feel like they can get it right. If every 2 seconds something is shifting the definition of something, like, it doesn't, bro. It makes no sense for a language to do that. It makes absolutely no sense for create new words. Yes, accept that. Create new words for new things. 100%. Do that, but do not change old words' meanings into some new type of shit, bro. At that point, you're losing history, you're losing lineage, you're losing culture, because you're diluting the importance of words that were once, held in such high regard. Now you're just saying things because, whatever. Bro, this is crazy.
It's this now.
It is hard to talk about some of this stuff because you feel like you might say the wrong thing.
I'm not really masculine myself, so I can't. I feel like I'm like the wrong person to ask.
Maybe the right person to ask.
Mad.
Christian.
Honest.
What it means to be a man is to be a adult human male.
That's sort of a very formal definition, but I think that might be a good place to kick off because there's a lot of
But that does not encompass masculinity. But it's a part of it.
talk, of writing, of research these days that says there's a crisis in masculinity. Is there a crisis in masculinity? And if so, what is that crisis?
Yes.
The thing that I see is a lot of deconstructing generational trauma. The be a man, boys don't cry, this, that, and the other thing. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why we see it as a crisis, because we're actually trying to redefine what it means to be a man, and none of us have any idea because we're just out here trying to be whoever we are.
That's right. I think that historically, being a man was rooted in patriarchy and misogyny.
Man said, this is interesting because, again, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson on this. I just love Neil deGrasse Tyson on this because he speaks as a credited scientist and a man of who does a lot of thinking. This is accurate. things shake up a certain way because evolutionarily that's how things are optimum. That is the optimum way for this biological entity to function. So when you say this is how things were, oh, obviously yes, they were horrible. They were treacherous. But again, there is no way you could have got here without going through there. You see what I'm saying? Morality comes through progress. Look at lions. Lions, when young male cubs reach the age of like 2-ish, they get kicked out. Bro, get the fuck out. 2 to 3, they get kicked out of the pride. And they have to roam to find their own pride. And the only way they can take over pride is to kill the other lion, bro. That's the only way. That's the only way. We can say it's sad, it's awful. Why do they do that? But that's the way nature intended them to be. And in this sense, that's how we as a human species evolved from the, tribalistic nature, the herders, all the way up to settlers and, building cities. And it's a natural progression and natural evolution to the point where we are now. So, yeah, let's see what man has to say about, there's a lot of misogyny in the past, though. We ain't gonna cap on that.
And now we realize how harmful that has been over the years. And so we don't really know how to define where we're supposed to be. And I think the reason, as they're saying, there's a crisis is because the box has gotten so small for just being, say, straight, just being a hetero, right? Because if you do anything, women judge you.
What do you mean anything?
If I dance a certain way, or if I wear my hair a certain way, if I dress a certain way, they go, real men don't do that. Real men don't do that. And so you get scared to move a certain way because you don't want to get judged or outed out of the accepted part of your community. And I think that kind of...
that's where it's like, you as an individual should have the agency to do as you please and what makes you as an individual happy, essentially. So if that's what you want to do it. Go about it with respect, respecting others, don't do things to hurt others, But if you move through the world respecting others, you also get respect, do unto others as you like done unto yourself. If you have that mindset going through life, you be fine, bro. As a man, you be fine. You be A-okay, bro.
It has us in an uproar, and we don't know where to be. Like, where's the safe place to be for men now? You know what I mean? And it's kind of disturbing.
And this is why you have to credit Andrew, to his detriment sometimes, but you have to credit him for this, is saying that you need a brotherhood. You need people of like mind. So if you're a man who feels like you like to dance, find other men who like to dance, dancers, have your tribe of men who like to dance, and you go out and live it up, because with those people, you feel fearless to do what you need to do to be, yourself 100%. They embolden you to be that person you feel like you are. And yeah, find that tribe and allow that tribe to, bring out the best in you by empowering you to be the best you can. Find your tribe. Hence, he built himself a whole, a war room or whatever of exceptional gentlemen. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I was what you would call a toxic masculine male growing up. And I had good men that sewed into me, they gave me good advice. But I never found manhood or never understood my place as a man until one day I humbled myself and I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ. And I'm telling you right now, walking with God changed my life forever.
Can you define toxic masculinity? Like,
I would say toxic masculinity is like what he was just saying, where you're using that leadership role or that aggressive nature in a harmful way to harm other people, to get your way. So the biblical structure for manhood is very humble. It's self-sacrifice.
That is actually a good way to define the toxic masculinity, is using your ability not for the care of others, but for the destruction of others while you gain. That's quite toxic.
It's not self-motivated, but it is motivated by principle and standing on what's right. So there is a clear-cut vision for manhood in the Bible that I live by, and I think our culture used to live by, and I think our culture has lost its way.
I think everybody sort of has a different definition of toxic masculinity.
Yeah,
I don't find masculinity toxic in and of itself, but I do believe in bad men, and bad men exist. But does that mean every man is toxically masculine?
No.
We were talking about a crisis on masculinity. I think that there's a lack of understanding there. So it's like masculinity, being masculine isn't toxic. It's just like there are portions of it that you can dive into that make it toxic.
Because I think a lot of what we think of masculinity is tied into patriarchy, right? Which is to say, like, for the longest period of human history, like, men dominated women and got the lion's share of stuff.
I think a lot of times some people make masculinity into a caricature, like it has to be this alpha bro tough guy.
Exactly.
And I find the low-key guy who, you know, is a really great father and a great husband and maybe not like drinking raw eggs every day.
Stoicism.
To be a lot more masculine than the alpha bro who's going and like banging 20 women per weekend and not a responsible man. I find it more masculine to be a good guy.
I think the background of this is that
Again, it's like you have the agency to do what you want. So like, I wouldn't say that one of them is more better than the other. It's one of them. Whoever is living their life the way they see it fit and the way they want it to be realized, obviously without detriment or harm to others, that is a person you consider, you know, on their masculine purpose in terms of having agency for themselves as an individual, as a man. So for me, if you as a man are not fulfilling your potential for what you want to be and what you see yourself, or what you see yourself as, or what you could be, and you're not achieving that or striving to achieve that, then you're failing yourself in the masculine planes.
we are saying that gender is this like real thing that has real ideas and implications. And Griffin, I'm wondering, as someone who identifies as non-binary, how does this conversation strike you?
Well, I think that it kind of becomes like irrelevant whether or not we attribute like having like a good ethical compass to being like masculine. Attributing that to like the gender constructs which we have made up, which are like somewhat pointless, like kind of just feed into needless roles that uphold the patriarchy without even knowing it.
And this is the thing, it's not pointless because I love how people say it's pointless. There's a paradox of choice. When there is no choice, when there is no choices, or people do not have things to fall upon, they get lost, and that produces a lot of anarchy. And I guarantee people do not want anarchy in the world, because when people don't know or do not have lack of direction, that's the number one reason things go to shit. That's why you have criminals, because they have lack of direction. That's why you have people who, you know, school shooters, they get depressed, lack of direction, they don't see a clear way out. People hate me, I'm gonna, you know, violate everyone I can see. Like, that's the problem. People need clear direction. So if you do not have definitions for things and allow people to have affinity to those things, they don't feel like they belong anywhere. And if some people don't feel like they belong anywhere, then they cause damage around them. And that's what you don't want.
A lot of those things are just things that people should be doing because they're like morally right. Like if you're in.
But that's the problem. Morality is almost taught as human beings. There is no, you can feel some type of empathy, but at the end of the day, morality is taught. It is a taught feeling to a certain extent, because again, if you use people who are like, let's say people who are raised like feral kids, or kids who are raised in the wilderness, to them, when they come into society, they don't understand the rules of society. You know, if someone hurts them, they hurt them back instantly. And it's not even a, you know, like I hate you thing. It's like, oh, this is just defense. You know, I gotta do what I gotta do. It's not like I hate you, I'm malicious or anything. They just do what they have to do. It's a different thing. They don't feel bad about what they did. They just knew they had to do it because that's how they've lived their life. You see what I'm saying? So there's a difference of mentality when it comes to empathy. It's not something that has to be directed. You teach people. Most people, if you leave them to their own devices and do not teach them a thing, bro, you have problems.
In a family, you should probably support your family. And I really don't think that it has to do with like your manhood.
These characteristics that we're talking about are baked into an old system of domestic life.
I think that's actually where we get toxic masculinity. Like, none of us can really describe what it is, but we can see it when it happens.
So we learn it, right?
Yeah.
This is something we learned from the world. It's something we learned from like TV and shit. And it's maybe something we learned from our dads too. Tell me about your dad.
I'm a first generation kid. My dad is from Guyana. Grew up in very humble beginnings, poor family. First time I remember my dad telling me he loved me was when I was 17. And he was like saying like he was proud of me because I was about to graduate high school and things like that, you know. I'm appreciative of all the other things, you know, being present as a provider, but in terms of like, you know, the conversation piece and like, oh.
And this is the funny thing, yeah, this is the funny thing, because I would have a similar situation as him in terms of like, you know, I never heard my dad tell me he loves me until I was maybe in my early 20s. That's when I would have heard that. And it's funny looking back because you always know. Like this is the thing that people don't understand is like instinctively you know that there's a even if like your parents don't say it, if they show it and they are there present every day providing for you, taking care of you, you know they love you. But some people just don't say it. But does that mean they love you any less? No.
I want to talk to my dad about, sex or something, or I want to talk to my dad about, this person broke up with me and I'm feeling pretty sad about it. I didn't have those conversations.
So like emotional language as part of like how you talk to your dad.
Yeah.
And my definition of manhood came solely from my relationship with God. It didn't come from my father. It didn't come from the good influences around me.
Is God a man?
Yeah, and God is a man.
He is.
God is a father, and he's a good father. He's a perfect father. And so I think there is a clear definition of manhood where I guess that's where I diverge from everyone else in the room. I believe manhood is clearly defined by God. It is the perfect example of what a man should be.
Christian, I see you nodding your head.
I grew up in a divorced home. When you do grow up in a broken home and you don't have a father in the home, you recognize how important sort of both males and females are in raising a child.
100%, and we know that to give your child a greater chance of success in life, that you need both the mother and the father in that child's life, playing to their strength essentially, where the mother is nurturing and the father is more stern in that relationship, and he's more the disciplinarian, ensuring that the kid, he is the first line of defense between the kid and the world, ensuring that they understand the rules of the world and that they do not go out there and cause harm to others and to themselves.
And being in the home.
There's a balance between, masculine energy and feminine energy.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's both within everybody. And so there's a balance that with masculine energy in itself that I think a lot of people have trouble trying to like reconcile within themselves. Like, yes, being a man, you work hard, you take care of your people, but you got to be able to have that emotional side too, which is where the feminine energy comes in.
Y'all just like triggered something in my head when y'all was speaking about having both in the home. To me, I didn't really have it there. And it made me feel a way, but I think that I always wanted one. And so I wound up at a certain age going outside and trying to find what masculinity was outside. And so I went on the corner and there were 20 of us on the corner and none of us had dads. We were all messed up, and so we all taught each other the wrong way to.
You see, that's the problem. Toxic masculinity, as it is said to be, is the lack of purpose and direction for a man. If a man lacks purpose and direction, for women, we don't know here. I'm not here to speak about that. They could maybe have no direction and still be okay. But for us, for men in general, they need a purpose and a direction to aim that energy at, that aggression, that focus, that determination at. If you do not have that direction, that shit will leak out everywhere, bro.
To love, to be loved, and then I think in society there's way more people like that.
And a lot of kids who don't have fathers in the home, No,
you're good, man.
Look for that father in the world or in a different way.
Well, first I think that attributing proper family values to a heterosexual couple with children is just not effective. I think that it's obviously a heteronormative take to be man and woman and then a child, and that's how you create a good family.
Well, put it this way, you need a balance of the masculine and feminine energy in the household to create someone who is efficient in society, an individual who's efficient in society. Be it who has those roles, maybe the man is more feminine, the woman is more masculine, but you need that dichotomy in that relationship to allow that child to have the best chance of success outside of the household.
Whether it's a single mother, single father, or a queer couple, I don't think that it's necessary to attribute men and women to certain roles in the household. I think that it's only due to nurture those gender norms that we follow.
It is due to survival that we follow those, because when shit hits the fan, you understand that we cannot cover all grounds and we need to be as efficient as possible. Efficiency is the same as working a job. Efficiency comes in understanding your role and playing it at the best of your ability. Obviously, other people can still do your job, but they're not going to do it as good as you. So in the home, the fact that there's two separate job roles and people fulfill their different responsibilities in their job roles, that allows people to excel in those areas. And when they come together, they can, excel in raising their child. But the interesting thing is, like, you can have obviously the other elements of the other roles, to pick each other slack whenever someone's, not feeling well or whatever. But generally, it makes an efficient system. You don't have a job where everybody does every single job in the company. The jobs are broken down. This person is in charge of marketing. You don't have the marketer in charge of the legal or in charge of the debt. It's not efficient. It's never efficient. That's why you have to, disseminate the roles. But, how you disseminate the roles is up to you as individuals in that relationship.
Male and female matters. God gives you one of those identities, you take on that role. And now you're responsible for not or for fulfilling that role. There's a masculine crisis because men are not taking responsibilities for the God-given roles that they have in society. And so when you take away the need to say, God made you this or God made you this, now you don't have to take responsibility for not fulfilling what you were called to do.
When you do that, you also take away other things that somebody else may do. If I have a woman or a partner that wants to take on certain roles and I say, hey, those are my roles that God gave me in society, now I'm suppressing that person.
See, but that's the thing. That's why you find someone who understands you to the point that they know that this is how my partner works. Again, this is why you need a leader in the relationship. This is why you need a leader in a relationship. This 50-50 bullshit is hard to really sustain, because at the end of the day, you start to feel slighted that someone's not doing the same thing as you are, but they might be doing more in another area, but you don't think about that. You just think about the shit you're doing. That's the problem. That's the problem. But if you have a clear, defined leader in the relationship, you can understand that, okay, these are the roles, this is the thing. And if you're unhappy with the position you're in, you can obviously relay that and, work through that in the way you can. But again, like, you have to, it's impossible to do it's not impossible, but it makes things very, very difficult getting into a relationship, because there's a lot of faffing about, whereas it's efficient when you come in. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is why it's efficient for survival, because when you meet, you understand, okay, I know what you're going to do and I know what I'm going to do without even having to have the conversation. So when you get into a relationship, it's easy, it's smooth, you understand each other's roles, and it's there. But in today's society, when you get into a relationship, you have to then start figuring out what type of person your partner is, and it's not as efficient. Is that a bad thing? No. But is it less efficient? Yes.
Like, at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yeah,
you define who you are and how you behave under God. That's what God gave us, free will.
But also, I think that the religious beliefs should not be used to, dictate how other people identify or how other people live their lives.
Humans need predictability, and when we put each other in these boxes, it gives us the opportunity to make decisions quickly. And I think that's what we're fighting is, as a civilization at the moment, is the desire to put 7.5 billion people in specific boxes so that we can have some sort of predictability or stability in our lives.
It's not control, it's stability. Because if you don't... Bruv, I'm telling you, it's anarchy if you don't understand people's positions and where they lie. You need to understand these things, because then you can move through the world better. If you do not understand where things lie, it's just a clusterfuck.
I was an emotionally abusive young man in my 20s because I had an idea of what my wife should do, and it caused a lot of stress.
Why were you the way you were?
I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of pent-up rage. I had, some combat stress that I had to deal with also that I wasn't dealing with, because men don't show emotion.
There is a social construct.
This is the thing. This is why you need that brotherhood to show that emotion to and within that brotherhood, where they can hear you out, hear your stresses and pains, hear everything, that you need to speak about and really vent and release. And, if they are your brothers, they will sit there and listen and be like, bro, yeah, that's tough. And then they'll give you the actionable advice to help you get through it. Like, for me, if I'm venting a problem and I'm discussing my feelings, I need solutions. I do not need to just be listened. I need active solutions to fix my problems. Because if I'm talking about problems, they need to be fixed. And I ain't trying to be, trying to sit there and, dwell on them, Other people want to dwell. That's not me. And that's fine. And most men communicate in such a way that whenever they're talking to each other, they want to solve each other's problems. And that's why you find that there's a communication breakdown sometimes between men and women, where sometimes women just want to be listened to, and sometimes men instinctively want to fix the problem because that's what we do.
Sure, that benefits men. And so the responsibility that I've learned as I've gotten older is learning how to not enforce my power, learning over women, over people.
You're saying that that role gives men more.
Enforce your power over. No. Again, it's not enforcing over people. It's you have to have a standard for your own life, and you have to have a standard for the people that come into your life. If the people that come into your life do not meet the standard at which you want them to be, you let them go and find that person who meets that standard. Until you meet that person who meets your standard, and they are happy in what you provide in the relationship and who you are in that relationship. And there are people out there for that, for everyone in that category. You just need to find that person. And most people really fall short because they settle down too quickly, because they don't allow themselves the time to actually learn who they are as individuals, and or learn the skills required to attract people around them who would appreciate them for who they are as an individual. So they end up settling for someone because they feel they have the scarcity mindset, and they feel like, if I don't, lock this person down now, I might never find anyone. And again, in 2022, it's getting harder and harder to, to find more stable relationships.
Privilege? Like an advantage and privilege. I'm saying that it is more self-sacrificing. I do not have free time. I do not have hobbies. I do not wake up during the day and do what I want to do, ever. I'm thinking about my wife, my kids, my business.
But that's your decision, and that's not like a mandatory thing of your masculinity.
Well, if you believe that God is true,
I don't.
And you believe that He is God, then you do have that responsibility.
What privileges are you referring to? Like, what privileges do men have?
We've constructed.
See, this is the thing. In the West, none whatsoever at this point. It's practically eradicated. In other parts of the world, there probably are some privileges.
This entire society to benefit us.
Break it down. Like, what
No, the people in power have constructed this society to benefit the people in power, whoever those people may be. They may be majority male, yes, but it's not to benefit the other males at the bottom, 100% not. And again, modern conveniences are created not for the benefit of the man himself, it's for the benefit of society as a whole. There are things created here to alleviate modern tasks that would have been, characterized as feminine tasks, like washing up clothes, doing dishes, and now you have washing machines, dishwashers, and all these kind of things. Eliminated all that, so people now have agency to follow and do the things they want to do.
Privileges, exactly.
Like, we talk about the wage gap, or if you look at.
It's my guy, bro. This guy's been drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. What you been drinking, bro? That Wade, get out of here, bro.
Roe versus Wade, men controlling women's bodies.
That is, again, I think I remember that's not in controlling people. It is giving people equal playing field, because if a man gets a woman pregnant, that man has then lost autonomy over his offspring in today's society, left to the woman's choice. She can then obviously have that baby or not have that baby, regardless of what the man feels and or thinks. And the whole situation with the Roe and whatnot is just meant to say, look, none of you have a say in this. Only the state has a say in this, and that's the end of that. If it was meant to be equal, then they would also allow for financial abortions, in which men who say, I don't want the child, and the woman says, I want the child, the man can then waive all rights to see the child, contact the child, but also waive all rights of finances to the child, up until a time at which the child or the parents reconcile and want, the child to be in each other's lives. Then that agreement can then be brought back on the table. But until that point, for it to be equal, there needs to be the financial abortion available there. If not, then again, it doesn't really benefit men in any way, shape, or form. So it benefits no one.
If there might be those privileges, there's also more men who commit suicide, more men incarcerated.
I think when you talk about like incarceration rates and things like that, like things that men are a victim of, I think that it's important to like recognize, like, I don't think that men are oppressed solely on the grounds that they're men. I think
Oh, blame them for their own problems. Exactly. And as you should.
That men like experience oppression based on like the intersections of their identities, which is, you know, why we see like different like lower class jobs being worked by men, or like higher suicide rates, or like incarceration rates going up, because like men, like black men, brown men, indigenous men, queer men, trans men, etc. Those people like face oppression, they experience oppression, but it's not solely due to their identity as a man.
But I think dating and sex is probably a very interesting place to think about this, because it's changing field as far as like what people expect of each other.
I date in New York City a lot, and dating-wise, there's a lot that's like asked of a man. Like first dates are like nightmares.
I've got a question on that, yeah.
Dude, it's like, I'm like, what do you want? They got like a checkbox, like, are you gonna pick me up? Are you gonna walk on the outside of the side?
But this is the problem. This is the problem again, because it's ridiculous, because there's this whole 50-50 equal business, yeah? But yet they still want the man to pay on the first date, especially, you know, the people who are modernists. Still want the man to pay on the first date. They still want him to pick the location. They still want him to take charge. They still want him to da-da-da-da. But yet they still dictate the terms. At that point, you just have a slave, bro. You literally just have a slave. A person who caters to you every whim, and then you say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and then they have to listen. Bro, that's literally at the end of the day just like a bitch. Literally. That's your bitch. Like, let's call it what it is.
Sidewalk, you're gonna open the door, you're gonna pull out the seat, or you're gonna pay for the meal, or you're gonna be interesting during the dinner, or you're gonna be funny during the dinner. And then when you walk home, are you gonna drop me off, or you're gonna...
And that's the thing, like, again, like, if you really want it to be 50-50, like, the man can go and pay on the first date, the woman has to pick the restaurant, and get yourselves there. Get yourselves there, meet at the location, you know what I mean? And again, it will keep everyone in a more keep everyone safer, and would be more, you know, beneficial, I think, if that's what we seek, the 50-50 equal whatever.
Watch me walk inside, and then are you gonna text me after? And it's like trying to defuse a bomb. Like, if you think you like...
It's the truth, my man. Why is this? Anyway.
You're like red wire, blue wire, and you're like one little thing, and you're just done. And it's like, I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm so tired of like paying $150 for a first date, and then you just ghost me. And the next week, I'm like hurting for cash. I'm like, I could really use that $150.
Okay,
like, why do I have to?
This game is
You know what I'm saying?
The trade-off of like going on a date and as the man being like, oh, this sucks, I have to pay, or as the woman being like, oh, this sucks, I might get murdered.
Bro, just chill with that. Chill with that. Chill with that shit. Chill with it. Pick the location then. But most of them don't want to pick the location, bro. They don't want to pick the location. Oh, you decide. And if you ask them, where do you want to go? They think, oh, this guy does not take charge, doesn't take the lead. He's a bitch. Bro, like, you can't fucking win. It's crazy.
It's like a pretty big, you know, imbalance.
On a first date,
Bruh, no one wanted
should
to touch
the
that.
man, or whoever
No one wanted
identifies
to
as the
touch
man on the date, pick up the check? Show of hands, who thinks yes?
Yeah, should is a weird...
Yeah,
should's a weird way to put it.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
that was weird.
how would you put it?
I very much love gender roles. I like masculine men, and I want my masculine man to pick the check up. My friends seem to be the same. My girlfriends seem to want that as well. But I have a male friend who was naturally doing that, and with the dates he was going on with women, they were offended that he like took the check. So I think like, hey, if this woman doesn't want him to pay and she wants to show she can pay, go off.
I think it's a matter of preference. Like, you know,
Facts.
if someone picked it up for you, like, you develop a kind of rapport, respect with that person. Like, so be it. If the other person, you know, the woman you're with doesn't want that, then maybe it's not the match for that person. So I think it's dependent on the situation.
But I think that there's such a thing as
Find your person.
financial abuse. And men seem a lot of time, because they spend, that a woman has to be under them or owes them something.
I think that's when you get toxic.
Me personally, I love to take care of my partner. I love that feeling that I give them, that they're taken care of when they're with me. And that's when it's with friends, anybody. If you're with me, I got you.
Like, I guess what I'm hearing from you, Andre, is that there's like a lot of pressure to inhabit the masculine side of the social expectation. and yet you might not get the benefit that you would have expected generations ago. And that puts you in a weird position.
Yeah, well, we live in a city where there's 8 million people, and you know, a lot of these girls, especially if you're really attractive, guys are hitting on them all day. So they feel like celebrities. You got so many options. I don't blame you. I'd be the same way. It becomes like
always somebody better.
I think technology has a big part to do with that now. Like modern times, like online dating, Instagram.
Especially as a girl, you're gonna have 30 DMs a day.
Yeah, the DMs.
You know what I'm saying? Swipe it up on your picture.
I think that's a big reason why it can be tougher for some men.
Not successful.
I think what he's saying is
successful.
there's a toxicity to femininity as well. There is a toxic side to both genders.
I think anybody can be narcissistic, but I think that it's like weird to randomly attribute that to like women in New York because they're being.
Oh, bruh, nah, this is cope. This is cope. This is cope. Man, you can sit there, as they say, toxic masculinity, yeah? And then as soon as someone brings up toxic femininity, it's like, no, but all people. All people can be toxic, yes. But if you're going to attribute toxic masculinity to men, why can you attribute toxic masculinity to women? It doesn't make any sense, bro. You have to... Well, guys. It's like pretending that only men do bad things and women don't do bad things, and there are no toxic traits that women have too. Like, bro, it's asinine to think that.
Complimented all day.
There's a term, it's called absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, but that is, when we're talking about masculinity, that's what we've had. We've typically had that. We can do whatever we want, and we do it because we squeeze, we corrupt, we take. Historically, you take over things, places that you don't like, and you rape the women, and you take the gold, and you do what you want because you have that power. Now, when we see women have that power, we're like, whoa, she's literally just getting a taste of the power that men have had for centuries.
But on the flip side of this
But this is a problem. Like, you can't fight for something and then go overboard with it once you have it. You see what I'm saying? Like, then you're just gonna cause the same effect again. You're gonna put your people back in the same predicament again in the future, because the other side is gonna feel like they're getting abused and used, and they're gonna be like, fuck this shit.
perspective of dating, of like the poor guy who goes on these dates and gets ghosted, and it's a struggle to date. On the other side of that is men have more sex, men cheat more, they have more affairs. So if I'm a woman...
What? More sex? What is this man talking about? What do you mean? What do you mean?
And I'm looking for a guy, I would be really selective. I would have a list of what I was looking for. And
only the top 10% are even out here doing it like that, bro. What is this man talking about? What do you mean,
And
bro?
the guy would have to meet those standards, and they would be high.
I think that over the last several years, the Me Too movement has given a lot of insight into what women are feeling in the workplace, what they're experiencing, how they're being abused and otherwise silenced, how institutions of power have kept them silent. And we've heard some really awful stories and some terrible shit. I want to hear from you guys what you think about what the Me Too movement did. Has it gone too far? What does it mean for you?
I think it's good for women to expose men who are doing evil things in the workplace. I think it's been a good thing in exposing sexual abuse. There's also the opposite side of that coin where women are allowed privilege to do certain things that men are not. So in the workplace, I was working at a place where a woman was grabbing me inappropriately, doing things that were inappropriate. And when you bring that up to your coworkers, you know what they say? They laugh and they say, you should be excited, right? So if a man is sexually abused, the stigma totally changes.
Well, I don't think Me Too necessarily is what prevented people from believing you and your story. And your story is valid, I'm not here to suppress that, but I do think that it's worth noting women are far more likely to be victims of such.
It's not the victim Olympics, bro. He acknowledged it, but he said there comes a privilege with it.
Sexual assault.
You just experienced a little bit of weakness that women feel most of the time.
When we're talking about
bro, this guy is like a champion. He's a champion. He's a champion. The God-fearing man is he's the most balanced person on here. I ain't gonna cap. He's selfless. He's willing to do things he doesn't want to do. Whereas the other person, who non-binary individual, said that you should be willing to, you shouldn't live like that. You should do things you want to do. Essentially, is what he's trying to get at. And yeah, if a firefighter did that, it wouldn't be a good look. If a policeman did that, I ain't trying to get shot today. I'm going home. it wouldn't be a good look for society. So yeah, that's the wrong message to be spreading out there.
Constructs. You know, you guys are saying we need to deconstruct masculinity. I'm saying there are unequal biases with both genders.
Yeah,
when it comes
facts.
to it not
Facts.
necessarily being as viewed as valid, it happens to be the case because of other men, though. You know what I'm saying? Like other men are the people that downplay that, and that's where we come back to the talk of patriarchy and things like that.
Was put in place by men and is enforced by men.
Oh, and I went for a walk to get dinner last night. And I walked several blocks because I wanted to check out a few things, and it was dark. Not a single time did the idea that I would be physically or sexually assaulted cross my mind. Not a single time. I can imagine that doesn't really work out for women.
It comes down to biological differences. As a man, you're more likely to be able to have more of a chance to fend off someone attacking you. As a woman, not really. So that's why, we have things like mace and tasers or having a gun.
Is it something about it's hard to admit that you're a victim?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And to complain about it. People look at you like, remember Terry Crews? He can get his nuts squeezed and shit.
Right.
It's like, why didn't you do something? Why'd you let him?
Look how the world ridiculed him. Oh, you ain't do nothing. Like, oh, you a bitch. So we as men, especially super guys that grew up in.
You should have done something. The toxicity comes like, he should have done something. He should have done something, bro. There and then he should have done something. But again, he was trying to leverage his position and say, look, if I say something now, I ain't gonna get that role, so I better just keep quiet and keep moving along so I can get my career moving.
Super masculine.
So,
we don't really like to admit weakness.
Well, and it's in our language, right? Like, don't be a bitch. Like, don't be a pussy.
Right.
Like, it's very real.
We internalize that.
Yeah. But that's all examples of toxic masculinity. Like, it's never to invalidate somebody's experience, but like it must be obvious that these are rules and roles enforced by men and created by men.
Well, and toxic masculinity and power kind of go hand in hand. I mean, we're talking about peanut butter and jelly.
You know what it is? I think sometimes we gotta go to work and if we're caught complaining about it, we're admitting weakness, it's like, you're not a man.
How does that feel?
It doesn't feel great, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do. If you talk about a little bit of pressure that goes with it, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure. If you can withstand it, you become a successful man.
But what does that have to do with being a man? Surely a woman can do all those things, so why even attribute it to your gender?
That's a good point, but I think also, if you're talking in terms...
Because essentially, I think the non-binary person is conflating a lot of things, that there is no, obviously, gender roles and everyone can do everything. But there is a burden on performance on men to perform, especially financially and or in the provision aspect. If your man does not provide and does not have the capacity to provide for you the way you want to in the future, then you leave that man. But there's no such burden on performance on the woman from the man's perspective, because men naturally, instinctively want to take care of.
In terms of biological differences, generally, men are more logical, right? More reasoning, more
I disagree.
based.
There's no scientific backing for that whatsoever.
I just think it's a commonly used.
Chess. What?
Stereotype. I mean, I'm
So
not.
Maybe talking about, okay, you guys...
Chess. Let me just get some stats here real quick. Let's see how many male grandmasters there are versus female grandmasters. Let's see here. The greater majority of grandmasters are men, but 40 women have been awarded the GM title as of 2022. So the vast majority of chess grandmasters are men, and that just takes brain power and strategic thinking and being logical about the process. So say what you will, man. Say what you will.
I think more about me. I'm more of a logical, factual-based guy. I have emotions, but I don't let that deter me from what I need to do. My reasoning.
Do you talk with people about your emotions a lot?
I mean, I have friends.
See, this is the reactions, bro. It's like, oh, you're broken. It's like, bro,
Close guy friends I can talk.
There you exactly. You have the brotherhood you can talk to. You can share your emotions. You can cry about things too. But like, it's not cry every day, bro. Why is it cry every day, man? For dudes, like, it don't need to be cry every day, man. Like, anyway, do what you want to do. But I'm telling you, if you want to be successful as a man, you have to have a little level of stoicism in your life. Trust me. Trust me, it's the only way.
Talk to.
You do?
Yeah.
There's an interesting thing came out where like guys these days have fewer than 3 friends. Like it's hard for men to make friends with each other.
I think that's a big problem now in modern times because you hear about the suicide rates going up. I think that's a big reason for it. Men aren't allowed to talk about it with safe people. So if you talk about masculinity crisis, that's the crisis right there.
I think that men find friends very easily in terms of like, oh, yo, you lift 240, I lift 242, let's spot each other like basketball or whatever. But I think that we have superficial relationships in those friendships, in which like it's very like surface level, like coming back to what you're talking about. We don't talk about feelings and things like that. That comes back to how, you're brought up and how like boys are taught in certain ways, how we go about talking to each other and how we go about expressing ourselves.
How much of this is men putting ourselves in a little box? I can tell you, I wouldn't have shared my emotions with people when I was younger, but I have people in my life now who I feel completely comfortable sharing my insecurities, my vulnerabilities, how I'm feeling. That ends up being one of the reasons why men end up with limited friends. Because, how many people can you actually feel like you can be open and honest with?
But there's something holding people back.
Yeah,
men
and I think it's us. I think we're doing it because we're putting ourselves in this masculinity box, if you will.
I think that vulnerability for men oftentimes is viewed as surrender, and like that is that's an example of weakness in which like someone can possibly take advantage of it, or it used to be viewed as such, whereas
vulnerability is weakness, bro. Anyway, let me just get vulnerable meaning. Exposed to the probability of being attacked or harmed either physically or emotionally. Vulnerable is showing weakness. Whether that weakness gets exploited is a different story, but essentially you are showing you are in a moment of weakness and you're revealing that. And whether someone wants to use that like against you along the line, it depends, but that's essentially what it is.
it's like, all right, cool.
So to say it's not weakness, it's a strength, bro. Let's use definitions as they are. Stop trying to change meaning of shit.
Like, he cried, oh, that means he's soft, so now I can challenge him.
And this is something that I really struggle with. As a black man that grew up in the hood, you couldn't be soft. You couldn't come outside. You know what I'm saying? So you had to take on this persona in order to be a quote unquote man. As I got older, I realized I still had to do that with women. I had to be a certain way for them to look at me as a man. And if I didn't perform in that manner, they also called me a bitch.
Yeah, they want a real, like...
Right?
Poster.
So it's like, as progressive as I may want to be, is the world accepting of that as a whole? Because even if the guy...
No, because the majority of the world is still living in conditions that are close to their survival nature, and those people who are living in those worlds that are close to survival nature, they don't have time to be wincing and whining. Here in the West, we have the luxury to do this because we're fortunate to have things that around us as functioning society, clean water, all this stuff. But in other places, man, people have to walk 5 miles to get clean water, bruv. They ain't got time to be thinking about, oh no, It's like, bro, I gotta walk, I gotta make sure I ain't gonna get eaten by a lion, no hyenas on the track, gotta keep vigilant, stay alert. Bro, you have to be on job, otherwise you're finished. Here, we've got a lot of time to, unwind and really think and delve deep into our souls. And yeah.
Even if the other men don't like it, but the women like it, I might be like, I don't care what the guys think, as long as the women like it. But there are spaces where the women will be like, look at him, he wants a finger in his butt. Sorry.
No, let's talk about fingers in
Like
the
he,
butt.
you know what I'm saying? Like he.
Bruh, this man exposed himself. Oh no. What is he doing? What's he doing, bro? This is crazy. What's he doing?
That's not my type of guy. He's not my type of guy, and I can't be open with sex or accepting having gay friends. Pardon, you know.
That's what you like?
But I can't. Right. You can't be open to certain things because then you become questionable and you're pushed out of the safe space.
Yeah.
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. This shit is wild, man. This shit is wild, man. I'm just here for the entertainment value of it, man. It's obviously a serious conversation, but at the end of the day, man, you have to take, you have to take things in jest sometimes, So it's not so serious to you get bogged down, Life is what you make it, so have fun with it.
Sex is a difficult thing for men to talk about even with each other, especially if you do have some kind of kink.
Because you're not allowed to be vulnerable, you're not allowed to be weak, you're not allowed to fail. And a lot of people that, when you say the suicide rates, you give up because you have nowhere to turn.
I kind of disagree with you on the fact that pressure is causing. I think it's more the lack of support and guidance for a lot of guys. Like, they don't know where to turn. Like a lot of guys, suicide, I think, is like when you lose hope, right? So they just don't have hope.
What about not wanting to go get it? Because there's places to be, there's people to go. You can go to church.
I mean,
you can go to therapy.
As
There's
much as
places
you
to
say
go.
that, but I don't feel like, when you say guys don't want to express weakness, I think taking that step is hard for a lot of men. Because then that expresses weakness. It's hard for a lot of guys.
You know what's interesting? That what I'm hearing is that as men, you also are victimized by the sexist expectations of masculinity.
It also makes it hard for men to love themselves and love themselves enough to understand that they're in trouble. And I know that's something that happened in my life. It was before I did finally go to therapy and get the demons out that I needed to get out. It took me meeting a woman who actually made me want to love myself.
You found a woman who gave you peace and changed you a lot. Well, great if a man is dating a woman and she doesn't like that he's not masculine enough. It's kind of like, to me, I feel like too bad for him. He should go find someone else.
Yeah,
that's part of the dating scene. Everyone has things that they like and things that they don't like.
I feel like your preference is your preference, but at like some point, I think it's like noteworthy and responsible to like understand where those preferences or like originate.
Yes, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you feel how you feel. You're not going to change that. You can respect where it comes from, but at the end of the day, you feel how you feel. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. You got to keep moving, man. Until you find your person, keep moving, man. Because I guarantee there's a person who has the same kind of inkling to things as you, and you might be able to find that person. And go for it. Make the best.
Not necessarily. I think our life experiences form what we really want in our dating life. And because I grew up in a broken home and I didn't have a man in the house, I want a man who gives me security and protection. Stability. I don't think me deconstructing masculine is gonna do that for me.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. Aikido. This shit is great. Bro, they are fighting with their eyes and expressions, bro. This shit crazy.
I was missing that in my childhood, and that's what I want in a man.
I tend to diverge from like the Freudian daddy issues stuff when it comes to like what
Congratulations,
people like.
I'm so happy for you. I want a man who gives me security.
Thank you.
I think
Freud.
if I'm with a woman and the bad dates I've had is when I'm like talking about my problems, I'm complaining about something, I'm not gonna see that woman. If I'm projecting more strength and I'm more charismatic, I'm positive, I'm probably gonna see that woman. So I think as much as like guys, you want guys to be vulnerable, that doesn't work a lot of times. And I think it just comes
to facts, bro. It does not work for the majority of people, man. It's just factual, man. You have to adapt to the marketplace and what it demands. And what the marketplace demands of you currently is to be strong, to be on a purpose, to know what you want, to be ambitious, and to go get it. That is what is expected now more than ever. Back in the day, you could have a normal job and be an okay dude and you could get married. But nowadays, you can't be an okay dude and just get married. You have to be exemplary. You have to show that you have drive, ambition. You want to get up there. You want to win the rat race, as they say, and put yourself in a better position and your family in a better position. as the world changes with rising inflation rates. So if you're not competing, you're losing, bro. It's at the end of the day, it's all competition. And you have to be in the competition. You can't check out, because as soon as you check out, the people who are in the world and understand its realities are going to see you and be like, bro, this is a sinking ship and I ain't trying to be on that.
That's what it is. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
And it sounds like a lot of you are saying that's wrong.
Yeah, and it's like,
I'm not saying
it's like,
it's wrong. I think it is what it is.
I just think that society
It is
teaches
what
you
it
you have
is.
to be a certain way.
and that's really,
And that's my issue. Because
Right.
if this is who you are, your character, right, it just blossoms into this person that loves to pay for dates, loves to open doors, and loves to walk in the house, then that's fine. But when society tells you that from a young boy, that that's the only way to be as a man, this is the only way to be. And you think about things like, say, people on the down low that don't want to come out till later because they're scared of societal pressures, right? You should be able to be whoever you want without society telling you you have to be this way in order to fit in this box.
Pressure is on like the body. Like
I think
Pressure
I
is-
think my man, the black dude with the little beard, and he's knocking on the door, man. He wants to finger up the butt. Just open the door, bro. The closet is closed. Just open the door. You'd be better off just opening that door, bro. Open the door. Live your best life.
to be buff,
Live
to
your
like
best
look
life,
good.
man. Life is
There
short.
is a certain pressure, I guess you can call it, for guys to look a certain way, especially if they're trying to attract women. So I think it comes down to just men who look a certain way tend to look more competent. They can protect.
I was just gonna add on to what you were saying. If a guy looks fit, if a guy looks strong, okay, as a girl, she's probably thinking, if I'm on the street and somebody tries to do something to me, I know that he can handle it.
I also think generally,
Facts.
like, guys who don't have the body that they're looking for, or generally, they're not as healthy.
It's laziness, because if you as an individual want to be in a certain position and you do not have the work ethic to put yourself in that position, that's laziness at the end of the day. In terms of like gentlemen, like if you are, you know, got dad bod and you're happy with dad bod, by all means live your best life. But at the end of the day, if you feel like you could be more and you're not trying to achieve that, then you know you're failing yourself in the long run, because when you hit that deathbed, you're gonna be looking back and be like, wow, I could have really done something, but you know, I just didn't do it.
It's not just a look thing, it's just a health thing.
Yeah, that's
you know,
it.
the body and mind are connected. If someone is strong, they're probably gonna look strong and they're probably gonna feel strong. So I think when you say it's a pressure, I think it can be construed as a healthy pressure. Hey, get strong, because you're gonna be a healthier and more mentally fit individual.
For
That's right,
example, I
baby.
was a gymnast, and I think, you know, the training that I did not only trained my body, but it winded up training my mind and making me a stronger human, period.
As the skinniest person here,
Pretty skinny.
you skinny? All right, as the second skinniest person here. No, it's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, you do. I've had a bunch of girls like friend zone me, and I'd be like, why? And they're like, you're just too skinny. And I'd be like, damn. I mean, they kept it so real. I
Bro, they
can't.
want what they want,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm
kind of
like-
him to say that, yeah. Is saying that there is a good and natural connection between like feeling good, healthy habits, looking good, and that there's a masculine ideal to that of some sort. Does anyone disagree with that here?
I do. Body diversity exists across like multiple spectrums,
bro,
and I
of
think that it's
course.
unfair to like only attribute like mental fortitude and like mental strength to like physical strength. Not having like a perfectly in shape body doesn't
No,
necessarily.
it's not physical strength, but it shows a level of discipline and mental fortitude to get that position. If you want to be like, you know, overweight by your own admission, and you really want to be that, live your best life, my friend. Live your best life. But if that's not what you want, and then you're just hiding under the guise of, you know, oh no, you're fooling yourself.
necessarily
bro.
mean you're unhealthy by any means, and I also don't think it necessarily means that you like lack mental fortitude.
I don't think I'm saying that
If you want to be there, you do.
to look strong is the only way to be mentally strong. I think as long as you feel like you have a competent physical body, I think that's going to benefit your mental health.
How do you define competent?
Yeah, I think in terms of what
Facts. How do you find competent? If a violent situation arises, will you be able to meet the occasion? Will you be able to run long enough to get yourself out of harm's way? Will you be able to fight long enough to get yourself out of harm's way? Would you even have the skills to fight to ensure that your survival? That's competence, bro.
you're trying to do. So if What are you a student? Like, what are your endeavors in life?
Me?
Yes.
I'm a student athlete.
Okay, what kind of sport?
I'm a springboard diver.
Okay, do you train to do springboard diving?
Yeah.
Okay, and do you feel good when you train and you do well on the springboard?
Yeah.
I think that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. If you feel competent at the endeavors you're trying to do, I think that's
But I think
what
that there's
contributes to a
lots of
mental.
like non-athletic people who may not be in like the same physical shape as like an athlete would be, who are competent in what they're trying to do because that like action has nothing to do with like their
Yes, but when they're met with the realities of the world, i.e. physical violence, it's a flop. They then realize quickly how inadequate they are and they fold. They become victims. And again, as an individual, man or woman, you want to put yourself in the best position to be safety conscious. If you're not going to be able to physically protect yourself, you have to be extra careful consciously about where you put yourself and what position you put yourself, because you know if shit hits the fan, you'll be able to defend yourself. So you have to use that competency, whether it be it physicality or it be it, you know, your understanding of situations, to put yourself in the best possible situation to win. I.e., dance near the exit just in case shit pops off and you can just run out.
So that's where I disagree with you. That's where
Yeah.
I disagree with you. I think some people who don't realize the potential for their physical to blend into their mental is something that needs to be talked about. I think it's undervalued.
It's not that you have to work out to have a competent mind. It's that working out does help with competency. We already know when you work out, endorphins are released, people feel better. There's so many times I wake up, I don't want to go to the gym. It's going to be the worst day ever. I'm in a bad mood. I go, my endorphins are released. I'm great. I'm woken up. Like we have the science for that.
Yes.
So
Especially if I'm
it's not
I think
like
it plays very little. We've had
Yes.
presidents in wheelchairs.
We do.
They were very confident, successful men who couldn't walk. And so I'm going to say that it doesn't define you
I
as
think
a
there's
man.
always
But is there societal pressure?
No, it doesn't define you as a man, but it helps you as a man. It helps lend to you as a man, because there's only so much you can do from a wheelchair.
To be in shape for men.
I don't-
And then when I don't like when I'm having sex and my stomach like is over her butt or whatever. Like I want to eat less, me, but
Paul can
nobody's
change
like, yo,
that.
you're fat.
We've spent all this time like deconstructing masculinity and all these things, but then it seems as though if a woman or someone dating says, hey, I want a swole guy, suddenly it's like, sorry, I don't think that's a societal pressure. That's what that woman wants and she's entitled to have.
But
It's context.
I also, you know, I have body type.
Yeah, I agree with
preferences.
that.
Like I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's certain girls where I'll go on and I'm like, you don't really have what I'm looking. I don't say that because that's the dick, but in my head, I'm just like, this isn't gonna work.
so
I
it's
think
one
that's
thing to have
fair.
a preference and another thing to make like a sweeping like conclusion and then like broadcast it everywhere.
No, people are entitled to date their preference.
Because when you look at statistics, they say that, what is it, like 70% of CEOs are over the size 6'4", for example. So there is amongst men a pressure to be bigger, and bigger men tend to be in charge. And that's proven, statistically proven. And so there is a pressure for men who are naturally smaller, naturally overweight, naturally not as fit, to become fit or to become bigger.
Well, and every one
and
of
I
us
think-
here have heard little man syndrome. We've all
Who hasn't heard
every
that
one of
thing?
us.
He's got Napoleon syndrome. He's got little man syndrome.
But it's a thing though.
There's nothing you can do about it, and that's where it becomes harmful. Specifically, like you know, short king spring or whatever. Like a person, I mean, you can't like. I mean, there is like I guess like on Twitter I've seen like people getting a surgical procedure to break their legs and add 6 inches to their height or something like that.
It's stuff you can.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, like, but like besides that, which is like a really expensive procedure, it's also like comes into socioeconomic background and things like that as well too.
And
it's
you're
like
never
you literally can't do anything about that. I think that's where it becomes harmful. Which like, all right, like if there is the pressure in which like I can't date a person or I can't like get a position or I can't
There'll
do
be
X,
someone
Y, and
who's
Z
gonna
because
date
I'm
you,
not
but
a
you
certain
have to
height
create those opportunities for
or
yourself, man.
something I literally cannot change about myself.
Life is not fair, and trying to make it equitable is just impossible, bro. You can make it, you know, as equal as possible. You can't make it equitable. So you just need to stop it, bro. If you're short and you're born short, it is what it is. Will you get the height? No, but you have to increase your other attributes to make up for that deficit. That's just how it works, man.
So, what now?
What is big dick energy?
It's when confidence crosses the line of arrogance. That's exactly.
I don't
People
I
have
don't
told
know.
me
No.
people have told me I have
agree.
BDE.
You have BDE?
Yeah, people told me I had BDE.
You did in that back room.
Not to show off.
Right? Even he said, look at that.
I think BDE is like just a confident man. I don't think it's an arrogant man. I don't find arrogance to be big dick energy. I find it to be insecure. If you're arrogant, you're trying to like, I
find it so odd to equate somebody's like the size of their genitals to like the quality of their character. Like what? That's nobody's business.
Again, it's like almost not really like trying to even think about the psychology of what that would do to someone. If someone is endowed and they know they're endowed, they're more likely to be more relaxed because they know they can do what they need to do with a weapon of choice because they know people can be pleased with them in that realm and that department. So they're not really worried about that. Whereas other people might act nervous, might exaggerate their confidence to make up for the fact, of their insecurities in that department. So it stems from that because I'm assuming a lot of people notice that people who tend to have, that endowment tend to be more relaxed and more confident in a subtle way than those that do not.
It's more of just like a metaphor.
I don't agree though.
Yeah, for confidence.
Then it comes back. Now we're getting into like a deeper conversation, which like some men see a value based off the size of what they're carrying between their legs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's why the conversation of big dick energy comes into place because people feel as though like a man that's like more that's packing more down there. You know what I mean? Is more like one, they're better in bed. They're like more confident people. They're exuding a certain energy. So that like the stereotypes. So the stereotypes associated with having a big dick.
The lack of a need to overcompensate to society because you're adequate.
You know what you got.
You walk with confidence because you can tell when somebody's putting on because they lack in certain ways. And men, me, and people I know equate manhood and masculinity to their dick size and how much money they got. Like it's like, yo, you feel more confident.
And sometimes that kind of stuff bleeds into violence. And you see that in domestic violence situations, like men are like the perpetrators of that by and large. There's something wrong with masculinity when it becomes violent.
100%. I also think because of testosterone and a number of different things, men are inherently more violent.
But being able to control it, that's important. It's being able to control it.
That's where the responsibility comes in.
Yeah.
I think, you hear the whole saying, like, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And I think there's a lot of wisdom behind that saying.
Oh, George Orwell said people sleep peaceably in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf. I think that's a big thing, but the key is to be ready, to have the ability.
The competence.
And also the humility and the confidence to not use it unless it's absolutely necessary. I don't think...
And speaking of this, actually, let me just pull this up because I had a poem, This is about a poem about power that just needs to be heard real quick. So, are you ready? So this poem basically was inspired by The Art of War, Sun Tzu. But yeah, let me go ahead and read this for you guys. So, power is not brute strength, but the art of strategy, knowing when to fight and when to be still. In the realm of war, the wise man wins before he even takes to the field, by understanding the enemy's will. For in the game of power, the true victory is won by the one who knows when to strike and when to run. So let us be like the sun, rising in the east, shining down on all below with power and peace. For the greatest power of all is not the force of arms, but the wisdom to know when to use them and when to disarm. King.
I think we teach boys that enough because I think promoting violence is extremely toxic.
Is there something inherently violent about masculinity?
Inherently violent? I don't think so.
But there's always the risk and threat of violence because this is the thing. Again, this is what happens when what allows people to not do things is the imminent threat of violence. When someone wants to rob a shop and they think twice, it's because they know violence will ensue if they botch the job. Police will turn up and they will shoot you. Violence. What stops people from acting reckless is the potential threat of violence. Period. Point blank period. What has civilized society to this extent is the potential threat of violence being enacted on them. Allows people to stay in check. So there is an underlying level of, violence, but it is a deterrent more than a actionable thing. Because when two men have a disagreement, if that can't get resolved in peace, it is always the bottom line denominator about whose idea will win is the one who can inflict, or who can inflict, man, I was about to say inflict, the one who can, I don't know, how do I even say this? It's the one whose power reigns supreme over the other, essentially. The one who comes out on top in that conflict is the one whose idea will win and whose idea will stand the test of time, best believe.
No, I don't think so. If a majority of men were bad, evil, violent, a lot of us would not be sitting here today. Okay, we'd still be in the Stone Age. You know what I mean? That's why I kind of push back against that idea that inherently men are violent, inherently masculinity is bad, is violent, because I don't believe that that's true.
Why do you think that such a vast majority of mass shootings are done by men?
I think that's a mental health issue. I think that, and this is why we're talking about men in crisis. Yeah, because men are more willing to do what they have to, to not do what they have to do, but to take action in terms of that. And that's how we talk about this, men in crisis. A lot of those mass shooters are males, because a lot of males, they don't know how to have an outlet or to find outlets to talk about what their issues are. That's what it comes down to.
We know that these mass shooters, most of them are white males. We know that. So when I talk to a lot of white males that have traditional values, say, or maybe a traditional upbringing, they feel like they've been made to be the villains of society. And so I feel that pressure a lot of times. I feel like, hey, like when we're having this conversation, even I hear words like patriarchy, traditional society, right? So I feel like I'm being put in a box and made to be the villain. And I hear this from a lot of white males. I feel like I'm the bad guy. I feel like I'm the villain. So maybe at some point, mentally, they're breaking and becoming that villain. They're becoming that monster that they've been made out to be.
Be the exception. Yeah. If you're worried about being put into a box that is one that is like clearly harmful based on like what people are doing, then don't do that. Mass shooters.
It's the minority, bro. They're acting this is the majority of people doing this, bro. Like, it's the minority, man.
Like, obviously, like a sensitive topic, but a lot of them are like men with like little to no friends who like go out and in like a burst of rage commit like atrocities.
Or people who have been bullied and shamed.
I don't think that it has to do with how they're hardwired as men. I think that it has to do with how society like treats people like that.
Well, I agree with you on the point that men need support and they need someone to talk to and talk about these issues.
I don't think that men have been taught emotional intelligence throughout life, right? We know, so we respond with anger. All right, if I'm disappointed, if I feel resentment, or I feel contempt, or I feel embarrassment, or I feel jealous, or any of these things that fall under that one thing, we respond with one way. And if we learn how to communicate better, if we were able to say, yo.
Again, it's not just about communication, it's about how you can channel that into other outlets. Be it learning combat sports or whatever, or be it going to the gym and pushing the weights and taking it out there. You know what I mean? It necessarily doesn't have to be that one route. Like, it's like you're saying that this is the only way to do it. It's not the only way. There are other ways. It could be a productive way to do it, but there are other productive ways to do it where you can build yourself up, i.e., if you're feeling type of stress, go to the gym, push some weights, get your anger out, get that test out there, you know what I mean? Get yourself tired out and go home, have a nap, and wake up fresh.
Yo, you know what? I resent that you spoke to me that way. Or, I feel jealous, of whatever. If it was okay for men to express those things, we wouldn't feel a need to just go, you know what? Fuck you.
Only 2 3-year-olds. You take a 3-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. I have 2 girls. Their first instinct is to lie to me, to manipulate me, to say their sister said this when she didn't. I have a friend that has all boys. You know what they do? They throw a fire truck at your head. Bam. That's a natural response. That's not a learned behavior. They're taught.
Oh, that's totally a learned behavior. And you give kids only like cars and gun and G.I. Joe action figures and give girls Barbie dolls. Like you.
I don't think you could say it's one or the other. I think there is some interplay between both.
Thank you guys for.
I guarantee you, this is interesting. It's not one or the other. There is interplay between both. I guarantee you, if you leave a baby, two babies, in the wild, a male and a female, and you let them play out. Let's say they have enough resources to survive to adulthood. Let it play out. you will see naturally how things work out. You will actually see naturally how things work out without any learned or taught behavior. You will see how it shakes out. You will see it.
Your honesty, your like willingness to go to uncomfortable places, willingness to debate one another. Yeah, I'm interested to see like what sticks with me like in days to come after our conversation, because I think so many things were raised in such sort of a diverse perspective group.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, thank you.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Nice to meet several of them.
Oh, thank you. I should have discussed the importance of handshakes.
Just in case, like you guys said, masculinity is something that I think that is misunderstood.
You know, I had some people agree with me and disagree with me.
The entire thing is uncomfortable. And
My favorite part. Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
Agreeing to disagree with certain other people, and like
I know
things
we
turned
do.
into like this weird conversation about daddy issues.
Bruh.
Y'all got my number. When you gonna do another one?
What was I thinking when the conversation went to buttholes?
Exposed. Exposed.
How do I answer that?
Expose him. We know what you was thinking, bro. You can see in his eyes, bro. This nigga wants to cry. This nigga wants to cry, bro. Let it out. You spoke on it, let it out. Let it out. Shit crazy, bro. Shit is crazy. Man, this was good, man. This was lit. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Definitely be trepidatious about following Vice. But we thank them for this amazing content. Without them, we would not actually be seeing this, so we appreciate it. And yeah, guys, I'll catch you on the next one, guys. And as I always say, guys, spread love, not WarCraft, and I will catch you on the next one, guys. Peace.